Welcome everyone. So we have Paul today. So we're gonna ask Paul about pretty much his journey and what are some of the things that he learned. So you guys have heard a lot of things from us, everything from like discipline, risk management, and we like tie it into other aspects of our lives too. Like how do we bring in skills that we have learned in trading or maybe outside of trading and bring that into whatever we do. So we're gonna have Paul here pretty much kind of talk about his journey. How did he get started? Where is he right now and kind of like what's next for him?
All right. So I'm going to do a quicker version of the journey because I think a lot of people know it. But so started almost 3 years ago now, 2.5 or so. And I was doing Uber in the beginning and trading. And it was my buddy who I was doing Uber with. If he sees this, John, shout out John. He told me about this guy. And when I first saw it, I was like, this is the most ridiculous Ponzi scheme I've ever seen. Like, you try it first, you pay this mentor, and let's see if it actually is anything. And then obviously it is. So then I joined after him. We learned through him, and then kind of met a bunch of people along the way. And then it was about a year and a half in, took it full time, started teaching my close friends, and then Instagram with pictures of them, and then other people wanted to learn, and so on and so forth. And now just doing the trading and working on some real estate stuff, trying to get my license and kind of stay preoccupied during the day. Because one thing I learned, at least the past year, was when I just sit in my office all day, just looking at the charts or just being in my office, it's not good mentally. I'm always better like come trade, go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured some real estate stuff would keep me busy during the day, and the flexibility of like kind of work when you want, if you want, sort of thing, would be best, since trading is still like the goal, the dream, to do all that and push it into other stuff too.
So when you started off with trading and then you know how you're talking about like it's not good mentally if you're just sitting there, like did you ever go through a phase where you were just sitting at your desk and you're just like, you ended up over trading, over risking or any of those things, and like how did you overcome it?
I definitely was there. That was the biggest struggle for me, was my mindset, because I was always negative and stuff like that. So like losing, it was like it piss you off, and then you want to take another trade and get your money back. So revenge trading, over risking was like the worst thing for me, as well as like switching strategies too.
Paul, when you say always negative, are you saying like just very pessimistic, like, I'm gonna enter this trade, it's probably gonna be a loss?
After I would lose, yeah.
Wow.
Even if Monday I take a trade, I lose. I go on Tuesday, well, like, here we go, let's lose again. Freaking market's gonna take it from me. You can't learn anything that way, in my opinion. It's really hard to be like, all right, you know what, I messed this up. Like, there's no accountability in just blaming.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
So then you can't learn from your mistakes. If you think you're not doing anything wrong, you can't learn from what you're doing, because you don't think you're making mistakes. So you're just repeating the same failing process over and over.
And if you don't think it's you, you think it's the market.
Yep.
How are you gonna learn from that?
Yep. And then it just spirals, gets worse, and then you're in such a hole at first, and you're just like, well, let's restart again. So
Was pretty much the catalyst that helped you switch that mindset. It's probably not
That's deeper than trading.
yeah, that one took me a while, but it was definitely the people I started to surround myself with. So like in the beginning, like I remember Stefanos, when you had a couple hundred followers on Instagram and we were messaging every single day. Yeah. And like you were always in a good mood. I was like, I need to absorb some of this from this guy and try to be more like that. And just the people I surrounded myself with, all the negative people, I just tried to cut out.
Good.
I mean, whether family, friends, like if it's family, just limit it. Friends, limit it if I have to, or just get rid of it. Yeah, I think being around people was better. And then reading self-discovery, motivation, mindset books, stuff like that. And then
I remember when you first started getting into reading. I'm sorry if I cut you off.
Oh no, you're right. I was just gonna say, and then studying successful people. Like
There you go.
every single day I watch like 1 or 2 interviews of like just someone who's super successful in whatever they do. For some reason, they're all super positive about everything. Like, you know what? They'll be like, I lost all my companies, I got divorced, everything got repossessed, I was homeless in a box, but I was gonna figure it out. And it's like, how do you go through that and still just be like, you know what, I'm gonna figure it out and move on? And then you do, and it's just like, what? That helped a lot.
Down to their mindset, right? So like that's pretty much what you must have noticed. Like it's their mindset. It's what I've heard like recently. I was also just listening to somebody's podcast, And they said that in order to be successful or in order to be accomplish something, whatever you're trying to do, you have to be there mentally first. So
Mm,
you have to like envision yourself as if you've already achieved it, and then you have to put in the work for it. And so that's pretty much what you must have seen, like, with a lot of these people when they're talking about, their back was up against the wall, but they had to figure it out. And that's
Mhm.
because they had already envisioned themselves being successful in whatever they're doing. And then
Mhm.
now all they had to do was put in the work and, whatever it means by figuring out a way, whether it's like, go get a job and then get the capital to go pursue your own dreams or, whatever it is.
I think like with just like anything, that's something that you kind of have naturally, but also you can work at it as well, which is
Yeah.
good. Actually, not everything like is like that, but I feel like a lot of people are just naturally optimistic. Like I don't have to work at that, and I know a lot of people that are like that too. I know a lot of people that are opposite that need to work at that, that need to because maybe it comes from parenting, maybe it comes from like your surroundings, like your friends growing up. Everyone's just negative, and that's kind of like the cool thing to be. It's just like, oh, here we go again. Like that's if your crowd is like that, you're naturally going to be like that. You're a product of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So
Right.
that obviously makes it tougher. But again, as you grow older, you mature, you get better at it, you work at it, you read books like Paul's doing. So but again, I do think it's something that comes naturally. I know a lot of people that are always, and people that don't really have anxiety are like that too. If you
Mhm.
have a lot of anxiety, naturally everything you're gonna gravitate towards the negative stuff.
Yeah.
And you see it as a kid, like you have it in you as a kid, but then like exactly what you said is the environment. Both of you said it's the environment, right? Whether it's your friends, family, friends, whoever it is, every person that you're interacting with, subconsciously they're leaving an impact on you,
Yeah.
right? They're affecting things that you're thinking about, they're affecting things that you're dreaming about, they're affecting your dreams pretty much, right?
100%.
And so as we get older and we're in these environments, or like we're trying to switch out of these environments, that's kind of, I guess, like where it gets lost. And then you have to kind of regain it, whether it's like through reading those books and you're like, that's my avenue out. Or like some people, they get motivation by like watching other people, right? And that's your avenue out. And you're like, I have to switch that mindset. So
Mhm.
then that brings me to the question, Paul. You were watching these people and reading books. How did you feel that difference in trading? Like, did you feel any difference at all in your psychology and the way that you were trading?
Yeah, there was no more pessimistic, like blaming the market. There was accountability, stuff like
Mhm.
that. And then just I was able to actually learn from what I was doing. So not to transition into anything else, but one of the like big points I have written down is like emotional awareness. I'm not the best or perfect at controlling my emotions now, but I'm extremely aware of them. So like if I've been sitting at the charts for let's say like 4 hours and it's been a long time and trades have just been going, running great, but none of them are giving me my setup. And I can feel myself like, seriously, like we're gonna trend super well and it's not gonna give me an entry. Like, come on. Like, you know what? Let's just call it a day. You don't I feel like you don't have to control it perfectly, but knowing that it's happening and
Mhm.
being able to act based on that awareness
Mhm.
has been super helpful. I feel like I changed our topic there. What was the original question? Because
No,
I had a
that's
point
like,
for that too.
how does that help your trading? And like, that's one thing for sure, like being aware of
Hmm.
how you're feeling, because that's the biggest thing. We all talk about how 90% of trading is psychology,
Hmm.
right? If your psychology is not right, no matter what strategy that you have, you're always going to just hop around, right? You're not going to be successful in it. And
Hmm.
so that's one of the key things for sure.
And back to the question, it just took away the urge to want to force trades or to do the things that I know I shouldn't do.
Mhm.
Stuff like it was easier to do what I know I should do versus trying
Exactly.
to fight this invisible wall.
So
Because
while you were in like your journey, like your trading journey, like were there, after you got this awareness, this emotional awareness, were there ever like a phase where you were able to like pinpoint like, okay, these are things I need to work on? I'm pretty sure discipline is not a problem for you.
That's what I
Coming
was going
from
to say
like,
earlier with what you were saying about people being optimistic and stuff like that, how it just comes naturally. I think it's just like certain skill sets.
mhm,
So like when people come to trading, like they don't know that you need to be disciplined, you need emotional intelligence, you need to have that proper mindset. For me, I had the discipline. That wasn't the issue. It was the mental part. And then that kind of grew into and messed up the discipline that was always there. But because the emotional part's so important that it just kind of clouded everything.
mhm.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
I mean, they both tie together. Like,
Mhm.
and if you don't have either, you're not going to be very good at trading. But getting those two together, once you get your mental foundation right, and then obviously the discipline, which I honestly think is kind of the same, but they're intertwined. But once you get both of them, it's like, all right, all you got to do is study charts and understand candles and your pairs and what time they move, how they move, and
Mhm.
that's the easy part. The hard part is the mental part. But if you have both of those, you're good. You're
Yeah,
solid. Just takes time, takes experience, which trumps everything.
it's a nice little self journey. You
Yeah.
learn a lot about yourself.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
100%. The whole entrepreneurship journey, Sharma
Yeah.
knows that.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
it teaches you a lot about yourself. You grow up a lot quicker than most people that are going out partying, going
Yep.
out to drink, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're not really learning much about themselves other than hopefully they want to change.
Yep.
Or their where they throw up, where their limit is. That's usually
Yeah. Yeah. And how many tickets are you gonna get from cops?
yeah. Right.
I personally do think like if you want to learn about yourself, if you want to learn about like what are your strengths, your weaknesses, what are things that you need to work on, definitely start a business, right? Whether it's a big one, small one, whatever it is. Like Paul, you're going into like another avenue, you're expanding, with some of the things that you're tapping into, and that itself, like that's gonna help you a lot, like learn about yourself. For me personally, I'm great at like, doing like finance, accountability, like those type of things. I'm really good at it. But I figured that one thing that I sucked at when I started like this mentorship and like, other businesses was that I don't know how to, talk to people all the time. Right. I'm an introvert. So it's not, I can't go out and, I can't, continue the conversation for like hours and hours and hours. But that's like one thing that I had to learn. Like, okay, I don't know how to do that. And obviously, like, I don't want to talk to someone for like hours and hours and hours if there's like no value in it.
Mhm.
But how do you navigate and control the conversation in a way where you're both getting the value and you're both, I'm talking to people and they're not just like, oh, she's hella awkward. Like, I don't want to talk to her, that type of stuff. Right. So there are things that you're going to learn about yourself, but you're also going to learn like how to overcome those kind of problems. So if you want to, know about yourself, learn about yourself more, go start a business.
Mhm.
100%. And before you do that, I think a big thing that you got to realize when it comes to starting a business and becoming an entrepreneur, like you can work as hard as you want, but you have to be able to deal with pressure. I think that's one of the main like if you can't, because I know plenty of people that have started a business and just kind of fell off because they couldn't deal with the pressure that they're trying to handle, and that comes right back to anxiety, your mental foundation, and the stuff we were talking about. But
Mhm.
if you can't handle pressure, go work for somebody else, and that's completely fine. I'm not saying become an employee. I'm saying like work your way up in the company and be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And that's different. A lot of people are very good entrepreneurs. Steve Ballmer is one of them, right? So a lot of these people make a lot of money too, and they don't have to deal with the financial burden or the financial sacrifice, I guess you could say, of owning that business and that kind of pressure and what comes with that. So if you're a good manager and all that stuff, go try that out first because you
Yeah.
might be really successful with that. But if you feel like you just can't handle pressure, you can't handle, all that stuff being on, and that's just being real. Like I
Yeah.
know entrepreneurship sounds very glamorous and we
Uh,
control our time, we're our own boss, all that stuff, which is great. That I like my time freedom, but at the same time, got to be able to handle that. And if you
yeah.
can't, you might want to consider something else.
And the best way to practice it is on the charts, right? You have that pressure all
Yeah,
the time. Like, you're talking
100%.
about where you're talking about, Paul, like where you sit on the charts for like 4 hours. You see the market trending. You see that there's like, potential trades that are coming up, but you're just like, where's my setup? And
Mhm.
that's where a lot of people mess up, where it's like the market's trending, it's not in consolidation. So they're just like, let me enter here, let me enter there, let me enter here, right? But it's not their setup. And so when it goes against, their trade or their bias or whatever, it starts messing with their psychology. So being able to deal that itself is pressure in a way. You see the market trending, you're like, it's going the way, right? It's already moved like 30, 40 pips. Like, why can't I get an entry? That itself, but this time you're putting the pressure on yourself. The
Yep.
market's not doing anything at all, right?
Mhm.
Not like speaking to you verbally or anything, but that itself is pressure. So that's like one way to, test it out. See, like, are you built for it or not?
Yeah,
Mhm.
100%. This is the one market that's really going to test you, and this is if you want to try it, do it. And this is it. I mean, obviously everyone watching this is a trader, but it's a journey.
Yeah, and you just gotta want to do it because it's gonna suck in the beginning.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know about yourself. Like I didn't really know that much about myself. I went to the gym and I ate chicken and rice and I did cardio. That's what I knew about myself.
Yeah.
So then trading, I knew the discipline, but I
Changed
had
your mind a little
no clue about all this emotional stuff. There's like
That's
there's no emotion at the gym really. Like you want to lift heavy, all right, get a little angry quick and then lift and then be happy you lifted it and come back and do it again. Like, there was no self-discovery mentally, at least. So but if you want to do it, I think you can do it. You just gotta ask yourself, like, why are you doing this? Why do you get up every day?
See, lifting and working out is your passion, so it doesn't seem like that to you. But I think a lot of people, you'll learn a lot about yourself in the gym too, and I'm sure you know that.
Like in the beginning, yeah.
Hitting PRs, like that's a mental thing. I think honestly the gym is more mental than physical. It's really, it's all mental, pushing yourself an extra 10 minutes on the treadmill, on the Stairmaster, or staying consistent doing 20 minutes on the Stairmaster every single day. Not many people could do that.
Just showing up every day. Most people can't
Just
do
showing up. Yeah, that's all it's about.
Common thing that I see in people where they're like working out 1 or 2 days, and then the third day it's like, nah, man, I'm starting to get sore, so they don't show up, right? It's like, all right, well, you could do, yeah, like you could do yoga, you could do like some other workout, go on a walk or something. They're like, nah, I'm just super sore. Or like, maybe they're trying to get back into the gym, and then that's another excuse. I don't like to work out. I get too sore and then I can't move. So pretty much you could come up with any excuses that you want, but exactly what you said, it's more of like mental. These are like minor things, excuses that you're telling yourself and creating the barrier for yourself.
Did you have more things that kind of, you wish you knew in the beginning other than like mental or
sticking with the same strategy?
There you go.
And then I just recently started doing this, like, I don't know, 2 months ago. But I have like a little goal card in front of me: daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. And then that gives me it keeps my perspective in check, I've noticed. So like on a daily basis, a year or two ago, if you lose that day, you're kind of bummed out for the day. But if you look at your month, you're still up 7%. So that day is irrelevant. And then the other thing is just, if we're going to be doing this is our career and we're going to do it. I'm 26 for another 20, 30, 40 years. Does this Tuesday really even matter? Probably not. So it's just like, yeah, you made a mistake today, or even if you didn't, even if you traded perfectly and you still lost, because that can happen. It doesn't matter. Just reset, come back tomorrow. You got so much time left to do this that day to day doesn't really matter as long as you make the right decisions each day.
It's a great point. I think a lot of people look at each individual trade as like their entire career.
Yeah.
They look at each day as an entire career. And if you just like think about like the long term of this thing every single day and just write that down, keep that in your, like I have a thing kind of similar, but just like a to-do thing, like what I have to do every single day. I plan my hours out, and also I write my goals every single night. And that's super powerful.
Yeah, I do very much the same exact thing, but it really does help you keep in check, right? Yeah. Instead of being yourself over every single day or like every single trade that you take, definitely looking at the long-term picture, but because that's what helps compound your account, right? Not just like this one trade.
Yeah.
Right? That's how you're going to do it. Like you're not, okay, there might be a very, 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 very slim chance of somebody winning one trade and being done for life because they made enough money. That's not going to happen for 99.99% of us. So we need to look at it like, if we're going to win 3 trades and lose 2 a week, or go 2 and 2, but we're trading at like a 1.5, 2-to-1 risk to reward, we're going to make money in the long term. So that day you lose, if you didn't make mistakes, followed your plan, that's okay. It's going to happen. And then, like long term, I'm going to be able to show up tomorrow. Next month, I'll be able to show up. Next year, I'll be able to show up because I'll still have an account to show up to.
Yeah.
Versus day to day, if you freak out after one loss, it's like now you took 4 trades. You should be done for the week now. That's all your trades. And you do it again, and you do that 2 times a month. That's 8 trades. That 20% month, probably not even profitable, depending on how bad you messed everything up. Versus taking that one day, you had 2 losses for the month or 4. Just little things like that.
That comes right down to knowing your strategy and knowing that, like, you have, if you're going to take 10 trades a week, just saying that, you have 3-4 losses that you can afford to take. Right. So like knowing that you have those losses in the beginning of the week, it's like, all right, I can afford that. You got to be patient with your process, but very impatient with the work that you put in. Like clock's ticking. Like
Mhm.
your time that you have to enjoy the fruits of your labor is getting shorter the more that you waste time,
Yep.
right? Like, and the time that you're sacrificing is expanding, and you're
Yep.
just losing all that time right now. And like I said, clock's ticking. You got to have that sense of urgency. I know we always say in the trading industry, like, you gotta be patient, you gotta, absolutely, with the whole process. Like it takes a while. It takes a while to develop that, everything that you're trying to learn, and your strategy, and develop experience. Like
Yep.
that takes a long time. You got to be completely patient with that, and know that like each day is not like the end of the world.
Mhm.
Yep.
But just knowing that you need to put that work in every single day, and make sure that you keep your head down and not get distracted by much. Because like I said, clock's ticking. You got to have that urgency.
It's the same thing in like any business, right? So like if we were to treat like every single day was gonna make or break our business, like we probably, wouldn't be entrepreneurs because that's just way too much stress for you, right? And you wouldn't even
Yeah.
know, like what to do. But
Mhm.
instead, like when you're starting a business, and this is like something that we always talk about, like treat trading like a business, where it's like you have that long-term plan. What are you trying to do with your business? Like what's the impact that you're trying to make? Right. So in our case, like all three of us were mentors, right? That's the impact that we're making on people. We're teaching other people some skill sets. We don't sit here, we don't like, just feed trades to them, right? Because that doesn't really do anything, right? But what we do instead is like we teach them these skills, and so that's our impact. That's what we're doing long term. And then every single day, like there's challenges that we go through as well, right? When we're like doing our personal trades, reviewing our trades, and so you could beat yourself up over it like every single day, like I messed up on this, but then it affects your long term impact. Even if you're not a mentor, like what's your long term impact when you're in trading? You're not here just for 1 year, 2 years. You're going to be here for the long term, right?
Yep.
And so thinking about that bigger picture, and then how do you work towards it every single day? Being mentors, like what are some problems or like some challenges that you guys tend to face?
Yeah, and as you said, like on a constant basis, on a daily basis, you're trying to get better as a trader, but simultaneously always trying to become better as a mentor and see what you can do better, and how you can serve different people different ways, deal with different personalities. I think it's been such a blessing. This is something I've always wanted to do. Is, I didn't know what industry I'd want to do it in, but I felt like I had the mindset to actually help people and do that, and it ended up being trading, and I got into it with trading, and trading just kind of clicked for me. Not saying that I'm like perfect, or I still have a long way to go, and I'm always going to look at myself that way. But at the same time, like this taught me a lot about myself, getting into this, and teaching people how to trade on a daily basis, live trading every single day. Like, you got eyeballs on you. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you're responsible for people's income in a way. Like, we're not giving out signals, but we want our students to be resourceful and be able to trade on their own. But at the same time, you're trading live every single day. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's a lot harder to trade live in front of people. Not the pressure, but to go through your daily process.
Yep.
Doing that live on, like, you can't really do it. Like, I can't journal the way I normally do. I'm thinking of like back when I used to be on Rakeel streams, right? I was able to just listen to them, listen to Ted, listen to them talk as I'm journaling, as I'm going through fundamentals, doing my research. But now that I'm doing a live stream, which there's no problem with, I love it. It's just a different game.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly talking to them on how they can improve themselves. We don't have time as much to go through some of the different things I do. I'm trying to journal at the same time.
Mhm.
But I always get back to it later, do the description, stuff like that. But just throw the screenshots and stuff like that in there. But I think it's been such a blessing meeting people around the world. I think that's been my main, like, one of the main things I love is just like knowing people in Australia, South Africa, Indonesia, all over the US, right? South America. That's been sick too. So some of the challenges, I would say the main challenge is the frustration of people not putting as much as they could into it,
Mhm.
and kind of putting that on your shoulders, right? And you just can't do that. I do take responsibility for any of my students that aren't successful, but at the same time, it's on you too.
Mhm.
I love everyone in the group, But at the same time, the guys that are really putting the work in, I would say communicating on Slack, sending the charts, all that stuff. Like I love seeing that because you get to see them get better on a daily basis. So that's the coolest part. But at the same time, it's frustrating, especially with like we were talking about before, COVID happening. Once COVID happened, everyone's home. So everyone's on the live stream. Everyone's, communicating in the Slack group. Then once COVID started to calm down a little bit, people started going back to work. Your life is almost completely different again. Right. You're going back into the office. You're doing other things that you normally weren't doing during COVID. So, you don't have as much time to trade as you did because you have a career or you have another business or you're doing other things, and or maybe some of the losses are piling on, you get discouraged and then you move on to the other thing. That happens a lot in entrepreneurship. So, there's plenty of that, but all the good definitely weighs out the bad. And that's not even bad. It's just something that you got to deal with. The more students that you get, the more great people you're going to have, but also the more people that are going to be slacking as well. So you just got to be able to deal with that.
Trying to manage both. It's just something you got to get used to. That's all.
100%.
Yeah. I think for me, challenges, it'd be more self challenges than group or people challenges. It was just doing it when people are watching. You got to be super confident.
Pressure's on.
Super. Not even yes, but no, because you know what I mean? Like you got to be so confident that like if you're going to take your trade and this is your trade, but you see 20 people question it or say they're going the other way, like that shouldn't matter. If it's your setup, you're getting in it regardless.
You probably had like 20 times the pressure given you were on YouTube. We just do it on Zoom with our groups.
Yeah.
But still, like people are like, well, why are you taking that? Well, what about this? What about this doji or this resistance? But in the way you do it, that's just not it's not as significant to you as it is to them as they're learning and kind of figuring it out. And you're like, well, should this be significant? Like you just have to have enough confidence to be like, no, like this is what it is and it works and this is why I do it.
Yeah.
This is how I look at the market. And that's how you look at the market. And that's completely fine.
Yeah. And understanding that it is okay. You can be in a buy, someone else can be in a sell, just knowing that stuff. And then it was just great meeting people all over the world, like still with a few of them. We talk, text every single day. We trade together in the morning every single day. And I met those people doing the YouTube and the mentoring before Instagram and everything got kind of messed up and whatnot. But yeah, it was cool to meet all those people. Met a lot of cool people, met a lot of not cool people, but it was more good than bad.
Yeah. I mean, you're always going to have those, right? But again, the biggest thing, like personally for me, has also been just meeting people from all over the world. And it actually feels good because like when people reach out to you, whether they're in your mentorship or not, like when we're like answering questions or we're posting these videos, there's people who like reach out to us like on Instagram. He's like, and they're like, great information. Like I learned so much, this and that. I'm looking forward to implementing it. And then you feel good about yourself. Like I just provided value to this person who I wouldn't have met otherwise. Like we're sitting in, the United States and there's like people from South Africa or like Indonesia, like you said, or India or like, wherever. And they're like, yeah, we watched your video and it was like very, informative and all this stuff. So it feels good personally as well.
Just meeting people around the world is always just blown my mind. I don't take that for granted. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. And then like you were saying, Sharma, like you feel good when people are like commenting and saying like they're using your stuff and thank you. Like I was reading through your comments on you and Andy's videos the other day. And I was like, wow, like this is awesome. And like being proud of what you do is it's super cool. It's super good for you. Like it's sad that there's not more out there like that, but being able to do it and meet people around the world that are pretty awesome. I think it's great.
There's like a fine line that people can clearly see through though. And it's like, like you said, being proud of your work. Both of us were very proud of our work, right? Every one of us were very proud of our work. But then there's a fine line between like being proud and then being like, I'm the best, because people see through that. And so when I'm interacting with people and they're telling me about not even like just forex traders but like other people that they've interacted with, maybe they've gotten a mentorship from somebody else just to do like some other business, right? Maybe real estate or whatever it is, but they're able to see through it and they're like, that's not something that gels well with people. And so being able to again, it's all in psychology again, where like be proud of your work, be proud of stuff that you're putting out, but also understand that there's a lot more for you to learn personally too. So throughout this process, like we learn a lot from each other. Like when we're doing the series, I learned a lot from you when you were doing like, YouTube, interacting with people, answering questions and all this stuff. And I learned a lot from other people, even though like, they don't know who I am or anything like that. But like some of the older traders in the market, I still like watch Q Banks stuff, here and there. There's like someone on YouTube, he's like Swag Academy, and he was
Yeah, I seen
recommended
him.
by, yeah, and he was recommended by a friend. But the styles are in some way they're very similar, but they just add their own touch to it. And you're like, hey, I never thought about it from this perspective. Or even the trading channel, right? So these people don't know who I am, but I just watch them and I'm like learning things. I'm just like, hey, I never thought about it this way.
Yeah.
And that's how you grow as well, and you help others grow as well.
I learned a lot from like different professional athletes because a lot of it like ties in. Same thing with like CEOs of corporations. I learned a lot from athletes as well. And I was listening to a press conference with a rookie running back from the Jets. And he was talking about like, obviously he watches the greats, but like he watches all the current running backs as well. And they don't even have to be, like one of the best in the league. Like he just watches everyone and learns from everyone. And as long as you can throw your ego away and swallow your pride, then there's so much out there for you to learn, and don't be afraid to ask questions, stuff like that, from different people. Even though like you're a mentor, you could be asking somebody else something completely, that would help you. And you guys end up getting in a conversation, you end up helping them, just be reciprocal.
Yeah.
Yes.
I came back from like that retreat that I was some people know about, but I was at a retreat last week for like real estate. And so that's something that I noticed that was completely different from like the current industry that we're in, where real estate, all these people who are coming in, they have their own mentorships, or some people they're launching their own mentorships, but they're using their partnerships with these other successful people to provide value to each other, but also help each other's businesses grow. So it's not just like, it's my business, I have a mentorship, I'm not inviting you to my event because my students will want to, they'll get curious and go to your mentorship, but they help each other's businesses grow. And every event that they do, they're like promoting each other. So the point being there was like, there was power in partnership, right? Regardless of whoever you pick, whoever kind of resonates with your style, that you're still going to get the value, the same exact value, because you're still going to see the same exact people. And that's pretty much like, what I kind of want to bring into like what's next for me kind of a thing. And I'm going to ask you next as well, like what's next for you. But what's next for me in this industry itself is bringing that entire concept of there's power in partnership. All three of us here, there's so much value that we could bring in for people, and it's completely free too, right? So we're not charging people to come watch our YouTube videos, but there's just so much value, and there's like power in this partnership itself that people will get to see and grow from.
100%.
Yeah, and everyone learns from everyone differently.
Yeah.
So like some people might learn better with someone telling them the hard truth that they don't want to hear. Where other people, you need to be more reassuring, more positive, and more nurturing. And like some mentors, they might only have the skill to only be nurturing, and you know what, you'll get it next time. Keep trying and keep your head up. Where the other one's like, you're trading like an idiot. You took 5 trades. You get 5 in a week. What are you doing? I don't want to swear, but get your head out of your A, like, and they're like, okay, you know what? You're right. I'm messing up. I got to be better. Where like, some people, they just don't learn that way. So I agree. The power and partnership, I think you said, just totally on point.
That comes back to what we were talking about before with the mentorships. Like, what are you learning and what's difficult? And it's dealing with those different personalities. And, it takes about a week to really learn somebody and see like, all right, how do you like to be coached? You
gotta learn see how they respond better.
Yeah. Some people want you to ride them a little bit. Some people just, they're good if you just teach them how to do it and they just do it,
Yep.
So you gotta learn that.
I've had a student who came in recently, and like his first message was like, yo, Sharma, like I do very well with like if someone tells me what to do. So like, is there like assignments that you can give me every single week? Right. And pretty much the assignments are just what are you struggling with? And then let's break that down into components. So when a lot of people they approach us saying like, my psychology isn't right, but how do you just fix psychology like that? You can't. usually there's things that have happened like risk management, poor risk management, or poor technical analysis, or not understanding fundamentals, but only trading when there's news coming out, right? So those are things that, you know, we start breaking down where it's like, all right, well, first let's start off with technical analysis, because usually that's the easiest for people to understand, right? Support, resistance, market structure. And then from there, it goes into like, all right, what's your risk management like? How much are you risking? And then from there, it's like, we'll start to incorporate a little bit of fundamental analysis in it. Understand what's NFP, understand what does interest rates have to do with your currency. So things like that. And that's what makes up your psychology, because that's what builds up the confidence, right? So, you know, there's a student like that. And then we have some students like who are like, you know, I'm just ready to hit the ground. Let me go through the webinar videos that you have, and then let me get on to like the live calls that you're doing. And then they also watch like our YouTube videos. They watch like Stefano's videos, right? They used to be on your stream too, Paul. So there's, you know, all the different types of personality, but it all comes back to, I guess, like the common theme of understand like who you are, understand what are your strengths and weaknesses, and then also work towards them. So you never want to be like, I'm not good at this, and just throw that out the window because, you know, you think you're never going to see it again. That's probably going to be the main reason why you fail.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I did a video, so
Our first guest.
It was
Yeah.
fun to get back on the mic a little bit. I think I've been enjoying my silence a little too much. But it's just trying to perfect this. It's so much easier without a spotlight on you. And plus, once Instagram kind of everything happened, you know, just gotta not ready to come back to it like I was, especially when Instagram is no help.
See that.
Yeah,
I was just in the same spot.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I love being on social media. I love, you know, tracking my days. I honestly was not used to it when I got back because it's been a couple months. But you know, it's nice to, you know, be, you know, under the radar a little bit. Focus on your group. Focus on yourself. You know, up your skill, all that stuff, without having everyone, you know, texting you all that stuff on Instagram. But I love it. And you know, I lost part of myself being off Instagram, to be honest with you. You know, because just, you know, communicating with people all over the world, like that was a daily thing. Hopping on Zooms, daily thing. You know, now I'm starting to do those again. It's a cool feeling.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for being our first guest, Paul, in this series. And I hope, like, you know, you guys were able to grab at least one or two things from all of our different experiences. Everyone comes from like a different experience level, different backgrounds, of course. You know, mine is not fitness at all, but Paul's is, right? But we try to bring it into like other parts of our lives too, like same exact things that we've learned in trading. How does that impact the rest of our life, or things that we have learned outside of our life, and bring that into trading? So as always, if you guys have any questions or, you know, concerns, comments, whatever, go ahead and just put it down into the comments, or feel free to reach out to any of us and we'd be happy to help you out.
Also, subject suggestions. If you guys have anything you guys want us to talk about, always just comment below and let us know what you want to talk about, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Be sure to like and subscribe. These two, follow them both on Instagram. These two are top notch.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.